Maybe the most that bothers me is that they would allow millions of people to come into our country that are stone cold murderers, killers, drug dealers, the worst gang members, the worst people allowed into our country, and we're now getting them out.
Let's talk a little bit of immigration. So, you know, your mom said if you put your mind to something, you can get it done. Check this out. In the last 50 days, President Trump has arrested 32,809 arrests for illegal immigrants, okay? Under Biden, in the entire year of fiscal 24, 33,242. So in 50 days, they have done almost as much as they did in the entire year. Then you look over here. ICE arrests under Trump. Convicted criminals, 14,000. That's how many. We're just living up amongst us. Pending charges, you have almost 10,000 here. And immigration violations at 8,700. And then current ICE detentions. Right now, they have 47,600 illegal aliens in detention, and the beds are maxed out.
Folks, this might be the most blatant case of data manipulation we've seen from the Biden administration yet. ICE's own acting director just exposed how they cooked the books on illegal immigration arrests, turning catch and release into fake arrest numbers to mislead the American people. The difference between Trump's real enforcement and Biden's deception is staggering. Guys, you got to see this clip to believe it. Watch closely, then we're going to break it all down.
These numbers are pretty telling, but the other thing is that we're learning that the Biden administration would count taking somebody in, arresting them, and then releasing them into the country as an arrest. And I don't think that's going to sit well with people. What do you think?
No, Dana, you're absolutely right. I mean, there were over 113,000 illegals that Joe Biden was telling the American people that he had arrested them. Well, that implies that you put cuffs on them and they go back to their home country. That wasn't the case. The vast majority of those people were, quote unquote, arrested and then let into the interior of our nation. So we were being lied to. We were also being lied to by the Democrats and Joe Biden when he said that, oh, we're going to need legislative action to fix this immigration issue. There's been no legislative action in the last 6 or 7 weeks. And what happened? We hired a president that actually had the will to enforce the laws that were on the books. And this is what we get, a secure border.
Yes, and last week, in fact, we pulled all sorts of Democrats saying for the last 18 months, we can't do anything because Congress never passed a law, and obviously that is not true. But let me ask you, you're in Congress now. Would you like to see Congress try to pass some sort of immigration bill now?
Yeah, I'm glad that, number one, that I wanted the laws that were already on the books enforced, so that would be great. But I would like to see, and we filed legislation in our office, I want to eliminate the green card lottery. That's stupid. It's ridiculous. How about if we're going to take immigrants in, which we should because we're a country of immigrants, let's take the world's best, not put a bunch of numbers in a hat and draw somebody out and say, you're here. How about, do you speak English? Do you have a skill that we need in this country? And are you going to respect the rules and the laws of the country that you want to become a part of? And if you do, because legal migration actually makes the country stronger. Illegal immigration makes us weaker.
I want to show you this as well, that migrant traffic through the Darien Gap. Now, this is that jungly area. It's like 60 miles of jungle. There's no roads, super dangerous, and a lot of people are coming through there. But if you look at this chart right here, call for number 4, this is a graph that shows you migrant traffic through the Darien Gap is way, way down. And I think partly that's because now the cartels realize that they're not going to make any money, even if people get through. The Mexicans are detaining more people. Are you hearing more about this?
Well, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, listen, Dana, in the last 12 years, even under Obama, the average illegal crossings were about 460,000 a year. And then Joe Biden came along, and it was nearly 2.2 million. So something went awry. And what went awry was there was a signal sent out to the world that, hey, if you come here, we're not only going to help you get here, we're going to coddle you. I mean, they had a CBP1 app that made it easy for folks to come, through one of the ports of entry. Now we have a president that's saying, don't come here illegally. Because if you come all the way from, say, Central America or Venezuela, and then you get here and you're simply sent back, there are not going to be a lot of people that follow you. And that's the message that President Trump made clear during the campaign, and he's following through with his promises now that he's president.
What do you hear from your district or elsewhere, broader in the state, about the fentanyl crossing at this point? Is it down?
We're hoping that it's down, and certainly seems to be. It's a little too early to tell because there's such a small sample size. But I know what I'm hearing from my constituents in Texas. And Dana, that is hallelujah. If you're not safe, then you're not free. And President Trump's making us safer. I mean, just in Texas alone, Dane, in the last 13 years, they've arrested 299,000 illegal immigrants, and they charged them with 513,000 crimes, which resulted in 187,000 convictions. So, yes, we feel that we are safer in Texas, and we need to continue this way. I mean, just the Chinese nationals alone under Joe Biden, that was 177,000 his first term. President Trump's first term, it was only 5,900. And the Russians, the same thing. 127,000 came across the border under Joe Biden, and only 98 total in 4 years under President Trump. So we're safer.
Pat Fallon, thanks for joining us today, and keep us posted as we're just 50 days into the administration. Appreciate you. Thanks.
You know, the Biden administration said, we're arresting a lot of people. They weren't arresting anybody. These were people who were just coming in the normal process. Okay, I'm surrendering. Okay, fine. You're going to go right into the interior of the United States. So it's just, they were cooking the books. That's what Todd Lyons said. Here's his quote. He said, we have uncovered that the previous administration was cooking the books on ICE data. They were purposely misleading the American people by categorizing individuals processed and released into the United States, we've been talking about that for years, as arrests. They weren't arrests. We found tens of thousands of cases that were recorded as arrests when, in fact, these instances were illegal aliens that were simply processed and released into the American communities. These were numbers that ICE came up to try to make Joe Biden look good. And now that it's been revealed, it makes Joe Biden look bad.
So what are the real numbers? We don't even know the real numbers.
We don't know the real.
People and then letting them go.
Subtract those.
Well, I mean, between the auto pen and between these numbers, we're going to find out a lot that wasn't really done under Joe Biden. And just think about if you did pass what Senator Langford put forward I guess you would say, immigration reform to a degree before the election. The main thing was, no one thought that Joe Biden would enforce anything that was passed, let alone the bill as it looked. It turns out, as the president said, we just needed a new president. The numbers are stunning so far, what Tom Homan has done. And then yesterday, when he went up to Albany to meet with the Republican delegation to let them know, I'm looking to do some massive ICE arrests in New York, and we're going to have to probably bypass the governor. What you're seeing now is some of the different arrests, like earlier this week in Houston, 560 plus felons were picked up here illegally who have committed a crime and previously have been allowed to stay. The one area, there's many areas where the president's had success, but the one where it's just undeniable is here.
So Todd is a career guy. He's been doing this under Republicans as well as Democrats. He knows how the numbers are supposed to be counted. If you talk to anyone that has covered the border before, if you talk to Bill Malugin, Griff Jenkins, people that are there, we've had sources for years now under the Biden administration to tell us these numbers aren't accurate. But we never had any proof to go on record to say, okay, these numbers aren't false. But a lot of agents kept saying, look, the stuff that they're putting out there, we conducted arrests. We arrest these people. We're not grabbing these folks. But we saw what they did was essentially what they did with the CBP app is they found a way around the system. They were fudging the numbers with the CBP app as well because people were surrendering and they were saying the apprehensions at the border were down because people just turned themselves in. But the crossings were still crossings, but they didn't count those numbers toward them when they used the app. They did the same thing when it came down to the arrest as well. And we didn't need really this report to justify because we see the 10 million people that are in the country right now. We know the ICE guys are essentially out of gas right now because they're having to do these massive arrests every single day. We didn't see that under Joe Biden, yet they're trying to claim that the numbers were the same. Well, now we got a guy that's telling us the truth.
They were lying. They're fudging the numbers.
Of course.
Well, they were using kind of weasel words.
That's right.
Legalese, where they would say, okay, it was a pass-through arrest. The average person on the street, what the hell's a pass-through arrest? It's not where the ICE guys knock on a door and make an arrest. It's just, okay, somebody surrenders in El Paso, and they go, okay, go that way. That's a
They're
pass-through
essentially
arrest.
counting someone being detained
Right.
for a period of time as an arrest.
2 minutes.
And detainment is not an arrest.
Right.
Right, catch and release, and that app has been changed. So if you just apply in another country, you apply, you in your app to here, and all of a sudden you get a little notification that says you can come. And when you come, you could say, okay, we're going to process you, and you go into the system, and that's how we got 10 million people here that are still, and their status is up.
And now the app is CBP Home, where you can go back on that app and you self-deport yourself. Okay, when do I want to go home? Because if you don't do that and you get caught and deported, you never, ever get to come.
Oh, guys, okay. Before we dive in here, smash that like button so more people can see this crucial story. The media sure isn't going to push this narrative, so it's up to us. All right, let's talk about this. Under Biden, ICE was counting people as arrested, but then they immediately released them into the United States. Todd Lyons, the acting ICE director, flat out called it cooking the books. The real arrests under Trump in just 50 days nearly matched Biden's entire year of reported arrests, except Trump's were actual arrests, not smoke and mirrors tricks. This is a deception at a national level, guys. Why weren't we told the truth? That's got to be a question that we've got to be willing to ask. Trump was actually deporting criminals. Biden's administration let them in and counted them as an arrest. The Biden administration claimed that they needed Congress to act, but when Trump took over, no new laws were passed. He just enforced what was already there, guys. He just enforced what was already on the books. If enforcing existing immigration laws makes such a drastic difference, what does that say about Biden's approach? The numbers are terrifying. Tens of thousands of convicted criminals, gang members, cartel affiliates roaming free. Texas alone has seen nearly 300,000 illegal immigrants arrested in 13 years, 500,000 crimes committed. Those are staggering numbers. Is it any wonder that crime is skyrocketing in border states and beyond, guys? Absolutely insane. For months, Biden and Democrats claimed that they couldn't do anything without any immigration legislation. And suddenly, Trump enforces existing laws. The numbers immediately shift. Why did they lie to the American people about this, guys? We've got to hold them accountable. The Darien Gap, a major migrant passage, is seeing a drop in crossings because smugglers know that Trump's administration will actually deport people. That right there is deterrence in action. When you remove the incentive, fewer people are going to attempt to break the law. And could this also maybe slow down fentanyl smuggling that's devastated communities across the country? Let me know what you think, guys. Should ICE be required to report real arrest numbers instead of these manipulated statistics? Absolutely insane. And do you feel safer with Trump's policies back in place? Let me know down in the comments. And guys, if you appreciate content like this, consider becoming a channel member. It's a great way to support the work that we're doing here and keep these stories front and center. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next one.